Welcome, breakout students, to the quiz number 24 correction video. Let's jump right into this. Let's start with number 2 here. No one missed number 1, so we'll jump right to number 2. Find the sum of the given geometric series. Now, it is a finite series because I have a starting number and I have an ending number. So I know the formula I'm going to use is S subscript n, a subscript 1, parentheses 1 minus r to the n power all over 1 minus r. Okay? Now, let's see here. Okay, now, in order to use this formula, n stands for the number of terms. N number of terms. So I have to know how many terms I'm adding in this geometric series. Right now I don't know because I just know my starting number is -8 and my last number is -1/32. So I've got to find out if this is my 6th term, 7th term, whatever term it is. So guys, let's see if I can't quickly list out my terms. I have -8. Looks like it was cut in half and the sign was changed, so 4. Cut that in half and change the sign, -2. Cut that in half, you get 1, it'd be a positive. Cut that in half, you get 1/2, that's a negative. Cut a half in half and you get a 4th, that'd be positive. Cut a 4th in half and you get an 8th, that'd be negative. Cut an 8th in half and you get 1/16, that's positive. Cut a 1/16 in half and you get -1/32. And look at that. There's my last term right there in the sum or in the series. So this is my first term and this is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th term. So I'm summing or I'm adding 9 terms. Got it? So I have the sum of 9 terms equals a subscript 1, that's -8, parentheses 1 minus r. Now what is my common ratio? Well, remember, you can take any number you want and put it on top of the number directly before it, and that'll give you the common ratio. If you put 4 over -8, you get -1/2. If you put -2/4, you get -1/2. If you put 1 over -2, you get -1/2. If you put -1/2 over 1, you get -1/2. If you put 1/4 over, if you put 1/4 over -1/2 and simplify that, you'll get -1/2. Okay, so the common ratio is -1/2. So my r is -1/2. So 1 minus r, that's going to be -1/2 to the n power, that's 9, all over 1 minus r, 1 minus -1/2. Okay, so it looks like we have a little bit of work to do. Let's jump right into this and let's get this taken care of, okay? Alright, here we go. Now for the top, first of all, you do not take 1 minus a -1/2 first. You do the power first, okay? So I would have -8, parentheses 1 minus, now a -1/2 to the 9th power is a -1/512, okay? All over 1 minus a minus is plus, so I get 3/2. Okay? Now, 1 minus a minus is a plus, so now I have -8 times 1 and 1/512 all over 3/2. Now your calculator will do all of this for you, okay? If you take your calculator and type in 1 plus 1 divided by 512 equals times -8 equals divided by 3/8, you will get out this answer right here. -5.344. Or if you want it in fraction form, -171/32. Or if you want it in mixed number form, -5 and 11/32. All of those work, okay? Alright guys, if you have any questions on this content, let's move on to numbers 3 and 4. Now if you'll read the directions carefully for numbers 3 and 4, it says one listen to me, I can help you if you'll listen. If you have a geometric infinite series or an infinite sum, you can solve it. Even though it's infinite, you can solve it as long as your R, as long as the absolute value of your R is less than 1 and has to be greater than 0 too. It cannot be 0. So your common ratio, the absolute value of it has to be less than 1 and greater than 0. When that happens, you can solve it. Got it? If your common ratio does not fall in that given domain, then you can't solve it. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at number 3 here. Let's see if it's solvable. How do you find the common ratio? You take this number and put it on top of this number, and what do you get? 5. Well, you can take this number, put it on top of this number, and what do you get? 5. Either way, you get a 5. So your common ratio for number 3 is 5. Now, what's the absolute value of 5, guys? Guys, 5. Is 5 greater than 0 and less than 1? Of course not. 5's not less than 1. So this is the one that's no solution. Number 3 is undefined, can't be solved, no solution. So now let's go on to number 4. Let's find our common ratio. Put this over this, 3 over negative 6 is negative 1/2. Or put this over this, guess what you'll get? Negative 1/2. Put this over this, guess what you'll get? Negative 1/2. So the common ratio is negative 1/2. Got it? So I'm going to write that right here. Now, what's the absolute value of negative 1/2? Positive 1/2. So is positive 1/2 greater than 0? Yes. Is it less than 1? Yes. So we can find the infinite sum. There's a formula for the infinite sum. It's a very simple formula. The sum of an infinite geometric sum is your first term over 1 minus the common ratio. That's it. So what is your first term? Negative 6 over 1 minus, what is your common ratio? Negative 1/2. So I really have negative 6 over 1 plus 1/2 is 1 1/2, or 3 over 2. Alright? Negative 6 divided by 3 over 2 is negative 4. So there's your sum. Your sum is negative 4. Alright? Now, let me see if I, no, that's right, negative 4. Okay, so guys, when you're given a geometric infinite sum, you have to check the common ratio to make sure that its absolute value is greater than 0 and less than 1. You have to. And then if it is, here's the formula you use. Okay, guys, I really hope that this help video has been a help to you.